Matthew chapter 12, the unpardonable sin, and the ramifications of what happens is that the kingdom of heaven that was offered to first century Israel now goes into mystery form, as will be taught to the disciples on the side and not to the people through the parables. As a matter of fact, the disciples ask, "Why are you teaching in parables?" And the response from Jesus is to hide the truth, to disguise the truth from the masses. Jesus also mentioned in chapter 12, the latter part, that the men of Nineveh and that the queen of the south would rise in judgment against that generation, because a greater than Jonah was there and a greater than Solomon was there. And yet the people in first century Israel had rejected him. And then the mention of the demonized man at the end of that chapter, the key phrase that keeps popping up is, "So shall it be to this generation." He leaves the man that's swept and garnished and returns finding him empty, and now he inhabits him with 7 other demons other than himself. If we look at this unpardonable sin in this context and understand the rejection of the Messiah on the basis of demon possession by the nation, that it was a national sin, and that did not mean spiritual loss of salvation, but it did mean physical judgment, the judgment of AD 70, which was about to take place. It makes more sense. Now, before the rejection of the Messiah, Israel had its own form of government up and functioning. They had the temple worship system working, and both of those things will come to an end in the AD 70 destruction of Jerusalem and the burning of the temple. So before we get into what these parables of the kingdom mean, it's important to remember that.